Welcome back. A report from the Fiscal Policy Institute and the Immigration Research Initiative weighed the potential economic and fiscal fallout following anticipated policies from the Trump administration. Here to tell us more about the potential impacts is the Senior Policy Analyst for Immigration Research Initiative, Shamier Settle. Hi, thank you for being with us here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, now of course I want to get into it a little bit more. This is a topic obviously that is very top of mind for many New Yorkers, Bronxites. Right. Talk to me a little bit about the Immigration Research Initiative.
Yeah, so we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit think tank focused on economic and social, cultural integration of immigrants in the United States. We're based here in New York, but our work looks at telling the story of immigrants across the U.S.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, obviously this is a topic that we've been seeing on all the headlines as well. To get an understanding, can you give us an overview of the immigrant population in New York City and also when we talk about statewide?
Yeah, sure. Well, we know that immigrants are a really vital part of the New York State economy. And here in New York State, there are 4.5 million immigrants. In the city, we have 3.1 million immigrants. Of those, 1.2 million are non-citizens. These are people with temporary protected status, green cards, asylum seekers, people on humanitarian programs for like Afghanistan, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And we know that throughout the state, there are 670,000 immigrants who are undocumented.
Yeah, now of course your team has been looking closely at some of the economic impacts of obviously these immigration policies. When you look at that, what are the most urgent concerning ones you'd say right now?
Yeah, so we've heard so much from the new administration about their deportation regime, and the consequences of those would be really significant. Immigrants are people, and deporting immigrants would be a significant fiscal cost to the state and local government. So those most at risk are throughout many parts of our economy. I'm sure we can dig into that more. But yeah, we stand to lose a lot of state revenue from people not being here and not paying taxes.
Yeah, I mean, you do mention a little bit of that impact that it will have, those statistics. Can you break that down for us now for sure?
Yeah, sure. So what we found is that undocumented New Yorkers pay $3.1 billion in 2022 in state and local taxes. That's a really significant contribution to our society. And, I might say that's actually more than a lot of the top 1% paying taxes, right? Like these are people who are here working alongside U.S. citizens, New Yorkers, that are paying taxes and doing their part. So deporting people is not a cost savings. It costs a lot of money to initiate something as massive a plan as this. And these are people who are here and working and paying taxes, so that would be a loss in our revenue. Even if 10% of undocumented New Yorkers were deported, we found that would cause a loss to New York State of $310 million. That's enough to pay for free school meals for kids throughout the state in the public school system. So we've thought about this and said, a better approach might be to help people become documented and gain legal status, and this approach might increase our tax revenues. And we
just
found,
just what you're mentioning right there too, when you talked about that 10%, even if 10% of the undocumented immigrants were deported, what would happen to the economy? Can you break that down? I know you gave us a little bit of those facts, but break that down for us too.
Yeah, so what we know is that these undocumented immigrants work in many different sectors throughout our economy. We've found specifically that those are restaurants, care workers, construction workers, healthcare, and also in farming, which is particularly important in New York. But undocumented immigrants fuel our restaurants. There are 24,000 cooks and chefs who are undocumented, 9,000 food prep workers, and also another 9,000 waiters who are also undocumented. And immigrants provide our care. So we know that there are 21,000 undocumented maids and housekeepers here in the state, and 17,000 home health aides. These are the people who are caring for our grandmothers and grandfathers while we're out working. So there are 7,000 childcare workers, very important to parents. I just became a mom. Like, these are, like I continue to say, these aren't just people that are separate from our society. They're really integrated into our society and are working alongside other New Yorkers as well. And lastly, I'll say that when it comes to construction, we know that undocumented immigrants are nearly 30,000 of the laborers in that industry, 13,000 carpenters, and 6,000 painters who are undocumented here.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for breaking it down, because I think a lot of times there is this myth or fact about the immigrant workforce especially, and how they contribute or if they don't contribute. And I think obviously, like you mentioned, they are paying their taxes, they are a part of these different industries. With what you broke down, instead of deportation, what policy solutions would you say are better to support our immigrant workforce in a sense?
Yeah, first thing is help people gain legal status. These are, decisions that we can make, and we can choose to do better. And when we do that, we know that it would be a benefit to our economy. Instead of losing undocumented immigrants who have paid $97 billion in taxes in 2022, we can make it so that they gain legal status and pay even more, so that they, when they're properly authorized to work in this country. So making it possible for people to gain legal status. Also, when we make work conditions better for everyone, that also helps immigrants. So in those industries where I just described, restaurants and care and construction, making sure that those are good jobs that pay great wages so people can take care of their families, not only helps U.S. citizens, but it also helps immigrants.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about even providing them this opportunity, these work opportunities as well. There are also different statutes as well. Like, there's the role of H-1B visas, there's asylum seekers, temporary protected status holders. What does that play into New York's workforce?
Yeah, so the H-1B visas, those are for highly skilled workers. These are all different. These are all different types of ways of getting talent into the country, but also this discussion of the wider statuses illuminates the risk that these policies pose not just undocumented people, but people of any different legal status. So the current discussion of de-documenting people who are really spread throughout our workforce and are on different visas is really problematic.
Yeah, we also see, obviously, you were talking a little bit about, even for our local workers, our restaurant workers, what would you tell local businesses, these policymakers, and everyday New Yorkers about what they can do to support our immigrant community?
Yeah, to that population, I would say to continue to support those businesses. In New York, we have lots of Main Street businesses that are owned by immigrants. Continue to support those communities. Speak to your elected officials. Tell them how you feel about, those businesses and those owners, and your support for immigrants. And this is a country that, has largely benefited from the inclusion and support and welcoming of immigrants.
Yeah. Now, I did want to get your take on this. Obviously, we see initiatives, especially these past 2 weeks, started by different organizations and local community organizations as well, saying like initiatives like a Day Without Immigrants. Do you think those support the movement about being able to see immigrant communities and support them, or is it counterproductive, you'd say?
That's a good question. I'm not really familiar on the specifics of those, but I would say that if this is something that really matters to you, and I think it should matter to everyone, I think that showing up and showing your support in whatever ways that you can does really make a difference. And I know that everyone's scrambling to try to figure out, like, how can we, make our voices heard, but I think in any ways that you can, doing that is really important at this time. Because to be honest, the types of things that we're talking about would have really significant social and humanitarian consequences. You can't just deport the over 600,000 immigrants that are in New York without causing serious damage to everyone that lives here.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about the Immigrant Research Initiative, is there anything you guys are focusing on now or doing now to share these resources and obviously positively impact the immigrant workforce?
Well, yeah, we're joining programs like yours. We're continuing to talk to press. We're coordinating with other states, making it possible for them to uplift the data concerning their state. So it's not just this information about New York, but we can tell the story in Texas and in Colorado, just across the country about what's happening. So that's what we're really focused on. And you guys can find us on our website where we publish all of our resources and we share them on our social media.
Yeah, now I know we've touched on different things, even myth, facts. For our viewers watching, what would you want them to take away about this conversation about our immigrant community, but also our New York economy? What would you say?
I would want everyone to take away the fact that we are more connected than we are different. And the best thing that we can do is to support each other and to uplift each other and not believe the lies that separate us, because the truth is that immigrants are here, they're working here, they're a part of our families, and the consequences of something like this would be really harmful to everyone.
Yeah, now of course you mentioned that word support, which I love, and I think especially during this time we need more of. For people who are looking to support the Immigrant Research Initiative, to look into more policies, what would you, how can they do that?
Yeah, like I said, you can visit our website and follow us on Twitter, where we love to connect and share our work.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much again, Shamier, for joining us today, for talking about obviously this topic that we are seeing all over the headlines and just giving us a little bit more insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And to learn more about the work they do or to read their reports, please go to their website at immresearch.org. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Derry and Jamie on Wednesday and with Rina Valentin on Friday. I'm Jonathan Calixto, wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always. See you next time.